Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Inox Leisure Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by ICICI Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sanjesh Jain from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Inox Leisure's Q2 FY22 results conference call. On this call, we have Inox management, Mr. Alok Tandon, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Kailash Gupta, Chief Financial Officer. I would like to invite Mr. Alok ji to initiate proceeding with his opening remarks, post which we will have a Q&A session. Thanks, and over to you, Alok ji.
Thanks a lot, Sanjesh, and hi everyone, and a very good evening to all of you. I am Alok Tandon, and along with me is my colleague, Mr. Kailash Gupta, who is the CFO of the company. And on behalf of the management of Inox Leisure Limited, we welcome you all on this call. Our board has approved the quarterly results for Q2 FY22, and the same has been uploaded on the website of the stock exchanges and the company's website also. Friends, Q2 was an extremely important quarter for us, as it emerged as that critical juncture that we all strived hard for so long to witness. While the numbers may still have a fair distance to cover, but we can proudly say that a resilient and a spirited defense has finally given us the strength to make a comeback, which has just begun. We knew that it is going to be a matter of time when this happens, and with immense contentment, I am glad that the journey has begun. Our guests would continue to remain the core of all our decisions. Safety and hygiene will remain the topmost priority. We will put to use all our learning of the downtime, our experiences from the tough time, and our understanding of the business to make sure that we keep ourselves abreast with the expectations and the aspirations of our guests. With the worst behind our back and plenty of optimism to look forward to, we are stepping into the future with a lot of positivity. And if the numbers of Maharashtra opening are anything to go by, I would say that we are very, very positive and looking forward to some great numbers. A fascinating lineup with an array of stars from all genres is ready to welcome the cinema lovers across the country. With almost every superstar in action, we are sure that the audiences will pour into the cinemas very frequently. Also, we are glad that we will be able to make up for the cherished moments lost to lockdown. And if movies are not enough, we will further add to our guest dilemma with the screening of ICC T20 Men's World Cup matches. And when our guests visit us again and again, our F&B team will ensure that they would have a new choice to make from the menu every time. Our F&B roadmap has shaped up well and has started fructifying as we speak. While our association with ITC's Kitchens of India brand allows us to add numerous authentic Indian options to our menu, our association with food delivery platforms like Swiggy and Zomato and table reservation platform like Easy Diner will help us to let our guests enjoy food even if they are not watching a movie at Inox. Before I take you through the numbers in the presentation, let me take this opportunity to thank all the state governments for allowing cinemas to operate. The SOPs are user-friendly, besides ensuring safety and hygiene. Well, the key highlights are as follows. Inox added 2 cinemas with 6 screens in Q2 FY22. Cinemas are now allowed to operate in all the markets of India, and from 25th of this month, we will be also opening our cinema in Kerala. Cinemas are now allowed to operate with various percentages of capacity, which I will talk a little bit later. We are the only national chain that is net debt-free. Additionally, we have a strong liquidity position. Let us now look at some of the financial highlights of Q2 FY22. The second wave of COVID-19 had forced all cinemas to shut down from April 21 onwards. cinemas were allowed to open up from July 2021 onwards in a staggered manner by various states, thereby severely affecting revenues. In Q2 FY22, the revenue is 53 crore rupees as compared to 5 crore rupees in Q2 FY21. Q2 FY21 figures are skewed as cinemas were shut due to the COVID-19 lockdown. EBITDA is at minus 59 crore rupees as compared to minus 30 crore rupees in Q2 FY21, and PAT in the quarter which we are talking about is at minus 68 crore rupees as compared to minus 48 crore rupees in Q2 FY21. For H1 FY22, the revenue is 79 crore rupees as compared to 8 crore rupees in H1 FY21. EBITDA is at minus 162 crore rupees as compared to minus 65 crores in H1 FY21, and PAT in the quarter that we are talking about is minus 169 crores as compared to minus 99 crores in H1 FY21. In Q2 FY22, the footfalls were 18 lakhs, and as I mentioned that there is no corresponding operational figure for Q2 FY21 as our cinemas were shut due to COVID-19 lockdown. In Q2 FY22, occupancy is at 10%, ATP at 178, and our SPH at rupees 92. In H1 FY22, the footfalls are at 26 lakhs, and there is no corresponding operational figure for H1 21. The occupancy for this 6 months is 11%, ATP 196 rupees, and SPH 188. It's 88 rupees. So I repeat, ATP is at 177 and SPH at 88. We have tried our best to keep our fixed costs under control. However, year-on-year comparison of Q2 FY22 with Q2 FY21 would be skewed as Q2 FY21 was a complete shutdown. We can see from the numbers also that on a quarter-on-quarter basis, our employee benefit expense, including agency manpower, has been more or less in the same range. That is 27.1 crore rupees in Q1 FY22 to 28.4 crore rupees in this quarter. Power and fuel and repair and maintenance expenses have increased from 10.1 crore rupees in Q1 FY22 to 14.3 crore rupees in this quarter. This relates to the fact that we were operational for more number of days in Q2 FY22. Our expense towards rent and CAM during Q1 FY22 was 73.9 crore rupees as compared to 40.4 crore rupees in Q2 FY22. During the second wave of COVID-19, we have negotiated rent and CAM to the tune of 86% of our properties. Rent and CAM for H1 FY22 includes rebate and concession gained from negotiations that were settled with the landlords during H1 FY22. And for the rest of the ongoing negotiations, we have considered full rent and CAM as per the agreement. We've also maintained our other overheads in this quarter from 10.7 crores in Q1 FY22 to 11.8 crores in Q2 FY22. In terms of shareholding structure, as on 14th October 2021, FIIs owned about 16.81% of the company, the DIIs about 21.96%, promoter and promoter group hold 43.63%, and public and others own 17.60% of the company. The share price as on 14th of October 2021 was about 415 rupees 10 paisa, which gives the company a market capitalization of 5,078 crores. Currently, all states where INOX is present has allowed us to open our cinemas. And as I said, that every state is operational, and Kerala we will go operational from 25th of October. That's the day when the government has told us to open our cinemas from. States like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Odisha, Rajasthan and Telangana have permitted 100% capacity utilization. Punjab and Gujarat have allowed 66% and 60% capacity utilization respectively. Rest of the states where INOX is present have allowed 50% of capacity utilization. In the quarter that we are speaking about, we opened 3 screens in JTM Mall, Jaipur, and 585, and in Reliance, we opened 3 screens and with 625 seats. Based on the agreements already signed, I feel proud to share that beyond FY22, we have signed up to the extent of nearly 134 properties, 927 screens, and nearly 1,71,000 seats. And once this entire pipeline is fully implemented, we will have 297 properties, 1,619 screens, and nearly 3,27,000 seats. At present, we are operational in 18 states and 1 union territory, present in 70 cities with 156 properties, 658 screens, and approximately 1.5 lakh seats. In Q2 FY22, we had promising content like The Suicide Squad, Bell Bottom, Fast and Furious, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, Love Story, and Shang-Chi, and The Legend of the Ten Rings. We are also delighted to inform you that in the coming month, we have a healthy lineup of movies which are already waiting for release. In November this year, we have movies like Suryavanshi, Anathe, The Eternals, Anthem, and this is just to name a few. In December, we have Pushpa Part 1, Spider-Man No Way Home, 83, Matrix 4, and in January, we have movies like Gangubhai Kathiawadi, RRR, and Prithviraj. Our cinemas are shut due to the second wave of COVID-19, and as a result, we have renegotiated our rent and CAM with the landlords, and we have successfully negotiated rent and CAM for about 86% of our properties. Another important set of stakeholders for us are the content partners, and we have been in constant dialogue with them, and we had convinced them to defer their movie releases during the second wave of COVID-19. Currently, as I mentioned earlier, all states are permitted to operate the cinemas, and as a result, the producers and distributors have lined up with a strong content pipeline. As far as our capex is concerned, of the overall guidance of 49 screens to be opened in FY22, we have already opened 15 screens. We have 9 upcoming screens wherein 95% of the work has been completed and hence would require an additional capex of only 4 to 5 crore rupees. And the remaining 25 screens would be opened once things normalize, and these 25 screens would require an additional 65 crore rupees. I would also like to reiterate that our liquidity position is very strong. As on 18th of October 2021, we have liquidity to close to 300 crore rupees, including undrawn limits of 120 crore. Alternatively, Inox owns 6 cinema properties and the head office. As for market valuation, if required, we can raise close to 400 crore rupees by doing a sale leaseback of these properties. As on 18th October 2021, our gross debt is only 93 crore rupees. Well, let me also tell you and assure you that we continue to outperform the sector in terms of profitability metrics and minimizing losses. Well, that was a brief about the quarter which has gone by, and with that, we can open up for a question and answer session.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may enter star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If your questions have been answered and you wish to withdraw yourself from the queue, you may enter star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We have the first question from the line of Abneesh from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. My first question is on the 100% occupancy which has been allowed by 5-6 states. When do you see that getting used in the prime time? Do you see that happening in the festive season, and already have you seen some promising data there?
Yes, Abneesh, wherever we've been allowed 100% occupancy, we have seen some good footfall. But also, let's talk about places like Rajasthan, where we have been allowed 100%, but the people up north are waiting for more Hindi movies to come. And I'm very hopeful that come November, we will have great occupancy in Rajasthan. But having said this, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Telangana, and Odisha, the other states where 100% is allowed, we can see some good traction, and people are coming out to watch movies.
That was my second question, that now with Maharashtra getting opened up soon, very soon, in the coming days itself, do you see a problem of plenty wherein Hindi movies, there will be suddenly too much of pipeline? So is proper planning happening? Who is ensuring that? Because this kind of a problem of plenty we haven't really seen in the past ever, because phase 1 of COVID was quite short. This time it is much more confidence for the movie producers to come on the theaters. So this problem is happening for the first time. So do you see that as an issue, problem of plenty and not proper planning?
Well, that's a good problem to have, Abneesh. I won't trip about that at all. And Maharashtra has opened from today. So it's always nice to have more movies and every Friday being a blockbuster Friday. But let me tell you, we cinema operators are already used to having at least 15 to 16 new titles every week. So if I remember right, in FY20, INOX showed about 1100 different titles or unique titles. So having more titles on a particular Friday is no challenge at all. Having 2 marquee movies being released on a festival season, whether it's Dussehra, Diwali, Christmas, Republic Day, historically we've had 2 to 3 big movies being released on these days. So again, this is not a challenge. Let me tell you, Abneesh, the beauty of a multiplex is that we can program more movies, we can give them great show timings, we can have more shows per day of a particular movie. So I don't call it a problem. I would say it's a nice thing to have. The only choice a guest will have to make that which movie to see first, whether to see a movie X on a Friday and Y on a Saturday or vice versa. That's it. But otherwise, I don't see this as a challenge at all. It's a great, again, I'm using the wrong word because you use it a great problem to have.
Sure. And last question on the IPL, is this more of a marketing exercise given 18 months of consumer not coming to theaters? Because in the past, pre-COVID, this was not exactly fulfilling all the tick marks in terms of full occupancy, given it is not something which is happening regularly, plus the long hours, plus all those issues. So do you see this being profitable this time in terms of IPL?
Well, I think you're talking about the T20 World Cup, not the IPL.
Sorry, T20. My bad.
So, Abneesh, when we showed the World Cup 50 overs matches live on our screens about 2 years back when they took place in England, we had nearly household shows. On the other hand, T20 is only a 3-hour slot. And we know that how crazy we Indians are about movies and about cricket. So watching a cricket match in an ambience where you have decorations done, you have got whistles, you have got people cheering your favorite team is, I would say, a great thing to have. And the first match we'll be showing on Sunday, which is India versus Pakistan, and we already have lots of block bookings and household shows for that. So that's one. Number 2, to tell you, INOX, we've always took pride in showing non-cinema content on our screens, alternate programming, which we call, whether it is having a one-act play, whether having seminars, whether having AGMs, whatever it is, we always ensure that there's something or the other happening on our seats. And this going forward also, there'll be a lot of impetus. I've already said that apart from showing cinemas, we also have a bouquet of documentaries of Nat Geo and Discovery, which we show school students. But yes, as of now, all schools are shut. But going forward, we'll be continuing with that.
One related last question. Your peer is doing the gaming also, so they plan to start. What is your thought process on this? Is it early days?
Well, gaming is quite big all across the world. And as I said, that alternate content, always we have ensured that we do something or the other to have guests come to our cinema halls. Gaming is one of the various things which we do, which we will be doing also. So whether it's showing, as I said, various things of having matches on our screens, of showing BTS, that K-pop band which is there from South Korea, their movies, we keep on doing something different to get our guests happy and to come into our theaters. So, Abneesh, we are also looking at various things apart from the things which I've said. And I think that very soon we'll be able to talk about the various tie-ups and marketing relationships that we have with various companies to use our screens, our auditoriums, and our lobbies for different activities.
Sure, that's very helpful. That's all from my side. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Jinesh Joshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, for all the fresh content that has been lined up, will the distributor share be similar to the pre-COVID levels? I mean, have we entered into negotiations or is it still under process? That is question one. And secondly, with normalization expected to happen by 2H, when is the windowing gap expected to revert to 8 weeks?
So, Jinesh, we talk to all producers and distributors one-on-one, whether it is for a Hindi movie or for the English movie or for any movie in other Indian languages. We all know that the last 18 months have been challenging for everybody. So I think that it's a give and take, whether it's a producer or whether we as exhibitors. And we look at giving a few percentage points more or take from him. So that's something which is we keep on doing with our producer friends. There's not been a case where we have had issues with distributor share, because they also realize that it's good that people come and watch the movie on screens, and the footfalls increase when a movie is on screen, and especially by word of mouth, the movie does well, and also there's a lot of pent-up demand. So no distributor till now has an issue with the distributor share that we have. A slight increase maybe in the second week by 1 or 2 percentage points was there in the last couple of months. Maybe going forward, we will have a picture-by-picture discussion with our producer friends. But I'm very hopeful that come 1st April 2022, things will be back to normal, and we'll be having the same percentage which INOX shares with distributors from that day. But maybe for a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two, I can't use the word end up, but we share a few percentage points more with them rather than not showing the movie, and neither the producer would like that the movie is not shown. So it's a win-win situation for both, and we keep on analyzing and discussing with every movie and content creator when the movie is about to be released.
Sure, sir. And the windowing gap part?
Well, windowing, traditionally, it's been 8 weeks. I'm very sure that going forward also it will be 8 weeks, but maybe for a few movies which are coming in the next month or so, it could be less. But even the content creator realizes that more a movie performs at the box office, it is good for the content creator, because then he can leverage or she can leverage the amount of success the movie has had at the box office with the other platform guys. For example, other OTT, whether it's music, whether it's satellite or any other thing. So how a movie performs at the box office also determines how much a content creator can get from other platforms. So that for a short term, the window could be for about 4 to 5 or 6 weeks, but I'm very hopeful and I'm sure that going forward it will be 8 weeks as it has been prior to COVID.
Sure, sir. One last question from my side. Now, if I look at this quarter, despite the fresh content being played like Bell Bottom and F9, our ATP at 178 rupees is lower than the pre-COVID figure of approximately 200 odd. So how should we interpret this number? Well, going forward, it will be we'll price and the ATP will increase, as we always say, at the rate of inflation. But if you see that the marquee movies and big movies in Hindi will only start from November. Yes, Bell Bottom was a great movie which came out, but that was only one big Hindi movie which came. And otherwise, there were movies in other Indian languages and English which were there. And also, the states which opened, for example, Punjab, Telangana, Gujarat, the content in English was less over there because Punjabi movies did amazingly well. We have some great movies in Telugu, in Telangana. So that was the reason why our average ticket price was slightly less than pre-COVID rates.
But let me also assure you that for, let's say, Bond and for Shang-Chi, we had ticket pricing at pre-COVID levels. So we decide what's the paying propensity of the people, the cost structure of that particular property, and the newness of the film and the pull of that particular film, and that's how we decide the pricing strategy. But I'm very hopeful that come next quarter, we'll be back to where we were, or even better than pre-COVID days.
Sure, sir. And sir, on the T20 World Cup, which we alluded to in the prior question, the rights which we have, do we have to pay a fixed fee, or that model is also on a distributor share kind of a thing? I mean, how does it operate?
Well, Dinesh, I'll not be able to share much on that, but let me tell you, with ICC, we have got a great relationship, and we have, so whatever we share is something which is a win-win for both of us.
Okay, sir. Fair enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will move to the next question from the line of Harit Kapoor from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. So I had two questions. Firstly, on the rent concession side, given that, you're more or less going to be back to normal levels in terms of operations, pretty much starting from 25th October with Kerala also opening up, I just wanted to get your sense on, how far can we continue to get benefits of rent concessions? Do we see some part of it playing out in Q3 as well? Obviously lower than what probably Q2 would have been. And, could part of that be in Q4 as well? I just wanted to get a flavor of your rent concession, the negotiation pipeline, how you've kind of managed it.
Well, we have got a lot of rental relief from our landlords. It's not there whether it was the last COVID lockdown or this one. In Q1 and Q2 also, if you see our numbers, we have got relief from our partners. And there are still about 14% of our properties where we are discussing with the developers, and I'm very hopeful that we'll come out with a win-win situation. So I'm not at all worried where the rents are concerned, because I think the mall developer also realizes that for a cinema to do well, both have to, whether it's a cinema and the mall, both have to coexist, and we both have to do well. So I can only say that it's been a great response from all our developers and landlords, and the 14% properties which are left will also be where both of us are happy, and there'll be no shock, and the numbers will remain stable going forward. And especially the time about lockdown, every agreement is made in a different way. So come 1st April next year, things could be back to normal where rents are concerned.
Okay. So if they're going to be back to normal from 1st April, you still see some benefit of negotiations in coming through for quarter 3 and quarter 4 also.
Yes, good. And again, just to tell you, Dinesh, this is just open. This is something where every property developer is spoken with, and we both will take a call come, I would say, Q4, and then decide the way forward.
Got it. The second thing was, the earlier participant asked about ATP, but my question was more on the SPH side. So last 2 quarters, you've seen SPH increase, and I think this quarter it's at 92. I just wanted to get your sense on, in spite of the Bollywood content not being there, regional and Hollywood playing the bigger part, you've seen a jump in these SPH levels. Is it largely due to mix because, Hollywood was a fairly large share this time around? I mean, how do you see that? Because this is higher than your historical levels. So.
Yes, so it's high also because we had shows only during the prime time. There were a lot of states where shows were not allowed after 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. And hence, we had lots of shows between, let's say, 4 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock in the evening. So the people who historically come for these shows have got a high paying propensity. Also the mix, the food mix which we had an impact on increasing the SPH. So yes, historically it's the highest. And going forward, our endeavor is just to ensure that we keep this and keep on moving forward. And also let me tell you that our other food initiatives we have taken, whether it's tying up with ITC or whether having an Insignia kitchen ready and being operational in various parts, or having block bookings where people buy food. So we are doing a lot of stuff where food is concerned, and I'm hopeful, Jinesh, that in the coming quarters, we'll only get better where SPH is concerned.
And now just to follow up on that is that, I don't think Maharashtra allows you to take food into the screen yet. So do you see an impact in Maharashtra on account of this, that the SPH levels may be lower than historical levels because of this fact?
Yes, it could happen, because in Maharashtra, food is only allowed to be consumed in a lobby and not to be taken inside. So there could be an impact, but it's too early to say. But if we go by history and what happened in the last lockdown, yes, Maharashtra pulled us down a little bit.
Okay, got it.
But then it's only a blip. It's only a matter of few months, and then we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, of course. It's fairly temporary. I have more questions, but I'll come back in the queue. Wish you all the best. Thanks.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Ankur Periwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So first question, continuing with the SPH bit. In the last quarter, have we seen any behavioral change in terms of consumption? People may be consuming more, or it was largely the packed food that was being served and still people consumed higher, and hence the higher SPH share. And a parallel question to that, how are we going to, once screens open up, maybe 50-100%, are we going back to the live counters, and which can push up these numbers further?
So, Ankur, just to answer your question, we have already gone back to live counters in other parts of the country. What we have seen over the period of time, our strike rate has increased, and also the items per head purchased by our patrons has gone up. And as I said, that this is something which we are monitoring, and we are trying our best to increase the strike rate as well as the item per head, which I spoke about. Having new menus, ensuring that we have more pauses in our theaters. So even when we had limited manpower in other parts of the country when we reopened, we ensured that our concession counters were always manned, so that a guest has never to go back or see long queues. So these are some things which we are doing. But SPH primarily in Q2 has been increased strike rate, items per head, and also, as I said, that we had block bookings where people were ordering more food.
Sure, sir. Second, on the the overheads and the cost cutting initiatives that we have taken over the last few quarters, maybe Q3, Q4, that run rate should continue, and by when should we expect the earlier run rate to come? Or let's say, in other words, how much of these cost cutting initiatives will be more longer term and sustainable here?
So, Ankur, we have always said this, and even in a previous call we said that whether it's the manpower cost or the cost for power and fuel, the other overheads, which includes travel, which includes any other expense, stationery, we have literally tightened our purse strings. And going forward in a good run rate year, we could see savings up to 8 to 10% quarter on quarter.
Sure, sir. And just a clarification on the rental negotiations which you mentioned. If I got you right, the benefits which we were talking of in terms of the waivers on rent, CAM, etc., were till H1 of this financial year. And even H2, there are discounted deals or some fixed fee content negotiated deals which will continue. And it's only FY23 onwards that then when we get back to the normal run rate, presuming the macro remains intact.
Yeah, well, lots of landlords have given us some rebate also for Q3, and we had discussion with others. But when I answered that question, I said that I'm coming 1st April 2023, things will be back to the normal rentals and CAMs as per the agreement, and because I don't see a third wave of COVID, and it should not happen at all. But in Q3, we could see some relief where rentals are concerned. And Q4, I said, is totally open for discussion, looking at what's happening in the Indian film industry in November and December. And that's the time we'll sit to the developer friends again for Q4.
Sure, sir. And last question on the number of screen additions that we have on slide number 17, some 1,600 odd screens. Any timeline you will like to share here? When are we expecting these 900 plus screens? Because where I'm coming from is, are there any COVID-led delays in mall development, in the screen coming in, maybe some cancellation, some takeover, etc.? So any thoughts there if you can share from a timelines perspective?
Well, Ankur, surely there has been a COVID-led delay. No, there's nothing shying away from it, because initially we said that we'll open only 25 screens. But now looking at how the things are opening up, we are saying that we'll endeavor to open 49 in this financial year. We'll endeavor. So 15 we have already opened. There'll be 9 more, which in the next couple of weeks you will hear our announcement. And there are 25 more, which we are keeping our fingers crossed that there'll be good cash flows, movies will do well, and we'll be able to open those screens latest by 30th of March or 31st of March 2022.
Sir, my actually question was more on the longer term. The near term one you did highlight in the initial remarks itself. But all these, post FY22 or maybe FY23 onwards, the 900 screens that we have a plan, any timelines there? Are we looking at a 60 to 80, 60, 70 screens per annum, or probably the run rate will be higher? So
about 70 to 90 screens, which we have also said earlier, every year going forward. So that's what we'll be endeavor to do.
Okay, sure. That's helpful. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. Before we move to the next question, we would request participants to limit their questions to 2 during the initial round. We have the next question from the line of Arun Prasad from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Prasad, I'm sorry to interrupt. We cannot hear you clearly, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. So my first question on in the last earning call, you gave us update on the single screen closures. Do you have any updates to that now with the recent round? Do you have any updates on how many single screens are permanently closed or yet to come back? As a follow-up to that question, can you also throw some light on what strategy you have to benefit from these single screen closures, especially in those cities and towns where you are already present? Where you are not present, it's a more like a long-term planning, but at least in those places where you are present, how you intend to benefit from this? That is
so Arun, we really don't have, Arun, the exact number of single screens that have shut down. But in the last call, if I'm not mistaken, we said about 5 to 7% of single screens would be shutting down, and but there's no official confirmation on this, so we really are in the dark. We primarily are a multiplex company, and yes, we have only 3 single screens with us, and that's out of a 658 screen bouquet we have. So going forward also, our endeavor is to have only multiplexes. When we spoke about our pipeline of cinemas, there are only multiplexes in that and no single screens. See, because single screens do not give you the opportunity of programming. It's very inefficient to program movies. If a movie bombs, then you're stuck with that particular content for the next 7 days. Though when it's a multiplex, you have other movies to fall back upon. So there's no programming ease, and there are issues with the content if it does not fare well.
Sorry.
So we as a company will only look at multiplexes and not single screens.
Sir, my question is more on how do you intend to increase or increase the footfalls in the vicinity in the same catchment area where your multiplex is already present? I understand that you will not be going into the single screen, but since the footfall, the people will be those who are in that catchment area, since the single screen is closed, how do you intend to bring them to your multiplex? Do you have any strategy in the place to increase occupancy of those multiplexes in those catchment area where the single screens is closed? Or is it more like an organic, whoever comes, let them come?
No. Arun, I am very clear, and I've said always, it all depends on the pricing strategy. And I've just enumerated what our pricing strategy is for any complex we operate in. And I repeat, that's the cost structure of the property, the paying propensity of the people, and the newness of a film. So if a single screen is shutting down, yes, there'll be people who were frequenting those single screens. They would be our guests. And as per the pricing strategy, we could have, and we all know that there's a lower ticket price during the day of the week. It's only high during weekends. So it's possible that the single screen visitor or a viewer comes to our cinemas during early mornings or during evening shows on a weekday when the pricing is lower than a weekend. When you talk about a strategy, there is no definite strategy how to pull in people. But yes, we always say that INOX complexes and INOX screens have been aspirational, and people come and they like to visit our cinema halls. So having said this, a movie viewer, if the single screen has shut down, he'll surely visit INOX properties, and we are there to give him a great experience in our cinema halls.
All right, sir. My second question is on the ad revenues. While it is reasonable to peg it to the footfalls, do you read anything from on-ground situation to say that yields would be any different from the pre-COVID levels? Because I'm coming more from the inflationary pressure, whether it is good or bad for the yields from the multiplexes perspective, whether on a per screen basis it is going to be better or is it going to reduce the volume that you can sell? Some light on the ground would be much appreciated.
Well, too early to say around anything on the pricing strategy or the pricing of ads, but we have seen that we are getting some traction in the month of October as we speak because there have been some good movies, and there's a lot of inquiry for the big marquee movies for November and December. So again, I say that this is just a blip, and going forward, things will be back to normal. Whether the effective rate will be lower, will be higher than pre-COVID days, I think we'll have to wait and watch for that. But people have started inquiring. Our sales teams are back in the market, and I would say there's a lot of optimism and a lot of buzz about ads in cinema halls.
So specifically with inflation, would yields should be going up?
Especially for you? Too early. Arun, our first job is to get in the advertisers who have not advertised for the last 18 months. So I think I'll be able to answer this question more better in the next earnings call we have.
All right, sir. Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Urmil Shah from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. My first question was on the non-movie content, and this is more strategic. What are the things we are, or what are the strategy we are having different than what it was earlier for, say, likes of cricket or the non-movie content? Which are the areas where we are doing things differently than we would have done pre-COVID?
So, Urmil, the first thing is going out and getting block bookings. Number two, what we are doing is that we are curating menus especially for that particular group which comes in. We are offering them movies of their choice. Not that we were not doing this earlier, but after COVID, I think that we have doubled down on these activities. We are also looking at any other way where we have people coming into our theaters, be it a music conference or be it a stand-up comedy show, something or the other. So earlier we were doing it, but now after COVID, there's a special team which has been made just to ensure that we have alternate content in our cinema halls at regular intervals, including the matches which you just spoke about.
Sure. And a question related to that, we have Nissan as the anchor partner for T20 matches. Would this be a good chance to look at how we can revive the advertisement relatively better as compared to relying just on the movie content?
Absolutely right, Urmil. So this was a thought behind it, that we partner with Nissan for the T20 World Cup, and this is just the beginning. There are other corporates whom we are in touch with for various other activities, and this will be a new way of revenue generation.
Sure. So my last question is on our strategy on the non-cinema F&B. More from a longer term point of view, what is the kind of capital deployment we are looking at? And let's say example of the part with ITC, if you could throw more light to the extent it is possible, what is the kind of partnership we have, and would this be looked at a separate SBU or how we would be structuring that business within INOX?
Well, as you talked about ITC, it will be just a part of our food revenue, but yes, a new income which is there. Similar, so there's no major capital deployment in anything which we are doing. So that we are very cognizant of. We will not spend monies for any partnership. It has to be win-win for both the parties. And I can't do much on this as of now, Urmil, but I can just say that we are quite happy and excited for the ITC tie-up. We are quite happy about the Nissan tie-up. And as I said earlier, we're looking to other partners and at other partners and in advanced discussions for other non-cinema related activities.
Sure, sir. Thank you and all the best for the upcoming season.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Sanjesh Jain from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon and thanks for taking my question. First, on the other opportunities we have been so excited about, cricket and the other events, gaming included. Over next 4 to 5 years, what could be the potential contribution which we may look at from a non-movie, non-F&B kind of a revenue, which can come to us? That's number one. Is there any global example which we can look at who have tried to do something like this and have been successful?
Sanjesh, too early to talk about numbers. First, we have to ensure that what we do right. And whether it's any non-cinema activity, we have to ensure that there's a proper sell for that. We have proper marketing strategy. So we're trying out different things. It's too early for me to comment on what the percentage of the total top line would be by these non-cinema activities, but yes, the endeavor is to grow it as much as possible. Number two, I don't think that there's a global parallel because we in India do a lot of different things. We are innovative in, let's say, whatever we have done till now, whether to have plays in our theaters, whether to have dramas, whether to have AGMs, whether to have school meetings. We have also done school meetings in our properties, or workshops by various agencies where they come and train their team members. So this is something which is unique to India. There's no comparison of this in other parts of the world. But this is something which we'll keep on doubling down on and ensuring that the revenue and the pie keeps on getting bigger every year.
Do we have any study telling what could be the potential market, and is this really a scalable business? AGMs, meetings, school meetings. Cricket, sports I can understand, but it will be a seasonal thing and it will be a restricted timing kind of a thing. But is other opportunity really a scalable proposition?
Yes, absolutely, Sanjay. We have seen that over a period of time. And I said that it's not that we started all this after COVID. We started this prior to COVID also. And we have seen by our marketing team that we have got bookings. By word of mouth, people have come to us. And we have seen revenues increasing year on year for these things which you just talked about. And looking at one school, there were other schools which came. Looking at one act play which we did in one of the cinemas, there were other theatre chains who approached us. So this is something, because what's happening is that you are getting stadium-like seating in a confined atmosphere. You get food over there, you get ambience over there. If you want to walk out, you can come into the lobby and just stand. So people are getting what they want. And this is something which we find very exciting. And I have seen personally that our numbers have gone up in the last, I would say, 2 to 2.5 years. And especially after the first lockdown, we've had lots of inquiries for non-cinema events.
Got it. One on the occupancy side, though we tried to answer a little bit. Do we expect this programming being quite tight for the next 2 quarters, and that there will be series of releases, and that should lead to a much better occupancy, at least in the near term, for us in terms of the shows despite having a sitting restriction? Is that fairly possible?
Yeah, absolutely. With movies like Anathe, Enemy, Suryavanshi, Eternals, the list is endless. I think that numbers will increase, and we should be rocking all cinema operators very soon. It's a matter of time before people start flocking to us. And I said in my opening statement, if we have to go by the numbers in Maharashtra today, and today was the first day when we opened, they are very encouraging. When I look at numbers down south for new content, the numbers are extremely encouraging. So people are tired of sitting at home. They want to breathe differently. They want to come out and enjoy. And no better way than enjoying and watching a movie with their family and friends. So this, I'm very hopeful that in the next couple of months, we will be absolutely back to normal, Sanjesh, as we were pre-COVID.
Fair, sir, fair. Thanks for taking my question, and best of luck for coming quarters.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Kapil Jagasia from Edelweiss Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I have two set of questions. Firstly, after this long time, a lot of movie patrons would be looking to book their movie tickets on apps like Book My Show. So any change in revenue sharing with them?
No, nothing at all, Kapil.
Okay, so that remains the same. Okay.
Yeah.
And the next question would be now, how do you plan to bring back the audiences, back to theaters, like after such a long gap of 1.5 years, to achieve your occupancy back to 28% levels? So any more loyalty programs would be there, or any other innovative strategies?
So as I said, content is very important, and we have seen that wherever the content has been nice, people have come to cinema halls. If I can go back to January of this year, when the film Master released, we had amazing footfalls. Every alternate seat was occupied, which meant it was a houseful show on the capacity which was allowed us for us to operate. We have to win back the confidence of our guests, which I'm sure, Kapil, that we have been able to do. They know that when they come to Inox, they are entering a neat and a clean environment. We are following all safety protocols, whether issued by the central government or the state governments. So that's something which we are doing. We are getting people back by our food offering, by having block bookings, by ensuring that the loyalty program which we have, and just to tell you that we are the only chain to have a 3-tier loyalty program, we are talking to them. Even during lockdown, Kapil, we kept on engaging with our guests, whether it was through Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter handle, whatever it was. We were very, very transparent as a company and kept on telling them the actual situation on ground. So our main endeavor is to bring back the customer, which fortunately for us, they are coming back, and whatever we have seen in the last couple of weeks, we have had some great footfalls. We double down and we continue, and we keep on pressing the pedal hard where all safety and hygiene protocols are concerned. So I would say that's the main thing which I'm emphasizing on today. And if we do that, we'll be back to normal very soon.
That was really helpful. Just a last question, if I may. Regarding this tall order of opening 900 screens post FY22, would we be also looking opening screens outside India like our competitor?
No, as of now, we are only concentrating on India, Kapil. Because India is very, very underpenetrated. India is underpenetrated. We have only, as we always say, about 6 to 7 screens per million population, and there's ample scope in India itself.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you for answering all the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question. I would like to hand the floor back to the management for closing comments. Please go ahead, sir.
Well, I would like to thank all of you who took time and interest in our company. Thank you very much, and wish you a very, very happy festive season, a great Diwali, and a great Christmas. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the management. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.